Hello there, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. It was brought to my attention by several of my subscribers that, geez, Brad, you need to show us what's it mean. I mean, working in data centers, maybe it's worthwhile to talk about building a data center. Are you that bold, or can you do that? And yeah, you're an individual who's in the IT industry and you're learning how to do things, but geez, to be in a data center, that's pretty cool. Well, I said, okay, I'll do that. So, the very first question you got to ask yourself is, wow, a 100,000 square foot data center, 60 rows of long, long, long rows of racks filled full of IT gear, filled full of all types of really cool things. And I just want to be in there and do that. And that's a really great idea. And the answer is generally, in a synopsis, yeah, you absolutely can. You can have a data center in your own home. The trick is, before you do a data center, the mindset that you need to consider is maybe a couple of questions before you do it. One, what does a data center really look like? Two, why do I need a data center? Great question, don't you think? Next, you have to say, does this data center really have to be what I think a data center is? So, all of those questions are very good because the sum of the value of a data center is not the size of it or how many platforms you have. It's not about all of the capacity to which you have, or even the capacity of your processing power and your capacity to be able to do a lot more. It's about the cardinal question, the most important question about doing anything. And that is, why do I need to make a data center? Well, the answer to that question should be pretty simple. Because you're wanting to do something that is unique. For instance, you want to build a cloud presence, what we call a private cloud. It's something that's internal, it belongs to you, and your resources can access that cloud. And it can develop a variety of different capacities, such as Commission, VM natures, storage capacities, running MySQL in instances, so on and so on. You have to have a reason. That's the first question you ask yourself. Now, that is a hard question. And it's the very first question you should ask yourself. Why do I need to do this? Well, let's say you want to build a radius network. Well, radius network needs some resources. Okay, I can do that. And that's an infrastructure networking style strategy data center where you're going to have VLANs and you're going to have structures, and you're going to have authentication pathways, and so on and so on. Or, for instance, you want to say, hey, I do databases, but I really need to do failover states. I need to be able to create a couple of VLAN variances to simulate, different buildings. Take this side out. Does it still work? And so on and so on. Absolutely. Okay, now we're talking some real material here. You're talking about basically building very good environments that can allow you to accomplish these very, very cool things. The next question is the fun question. What is a data center going to look like? Is it going to be 1,000 square feet in a room with a raised floor and a Liebert storage array that's containing the cooling systems that will blow out the air for your storage capacity? And what I mean by storage capacity, I mean the room, the entire room, below the floor and above the floor, is the storage capacity to house whatever you're going to have. And then, of course, the racks and the infrastructure. The capacity when you're dealing with connectivity and working with building sample modes environments and basically getting yourself into a real place where you can accomplish a lot. So with this being the case, yes, unfortunately, I'm doing a portrait presentation video-wise, and it does kind of narrow the view, but I really do want to make sure you guys understand that if you got a good idea and you think it's enough to make a data center, go for it. Remember two very important rules. One, power. Two, cooling. Those are important because power dictates what you can do. And cooling dictates what and how many you can have. The racks, the placements, the footprint, the image, the lighting, all of that, irrelevant. It doesn't matter. If you don't address the two primary key goals, power and cooling, your hardware is going to overheat, or you're not going to be able to power it all up to meet your requirements. It takes a lot of planning in regards to working with power. Power really definitely dictates exactly how you're going to go about displacing and balancing out your consumption ratio versus the devices at which you're using, and being able to have some ability to recover from a potential power loss. Cooling environments basically dictate how you're going to be able to continue to move the air constantly inside the room to allow heat convection to do its work, plus extracting unnecessary heat from your environment. These cooling practices and powering practices allow you to have the ability to do what you want to do. Now, one other very important detail to remember is that you have to take into consideration, what is your footprint going to look like? Okay, that's all right. We can deal with that. That's a good question. I want a 42U rack, and I want it to be super tall, and I want it to be able to handle everything I ever want to do. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, except you only have 2 or 3 devices. So when you're looking at that, take a look at it again. This is why I made this particular video in portrait format, because here you see a 42U footprint. It's big, and I filled it from the top all the way down to the bottom, which is way down there. And you see all that gear in there. Multiple disk arrays, multiple servers, my test units for workstations. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. I also have sitting beside it yet another enclosure, a 42U, and it's packed full of gear as well, as you can see here. Does this make it any harder or easier to do what I want to do? Well, the answer to that is yes and no. Because you see, yes, it makes it easier for me to be able to build anything I want. But no, I can't truly power all of this gear online because it's 120 amp feet, and I only have 80. So I have to bring up cautiously what I need to bring up, and of course what I need to keep down. So this video is basically about asking the question, wow, it would be cool to make my own data center. True, but you have to have a reason. And when you have a reason, what is that data center going to look like? Don't fall into the conformities of a 42U rack. Don't use wood. Do not use wood. Don't make your own rack out of wood. Please don't. But if you feel enthralled to design something that would be really cool, like a 24U or a 12U that's like mounted on the wall or something like that, or you can do what's called an open rack environment where there are no wheels, there's no carts, there are no racks, it's just the frames. And between the front frames and the back frames, everything is connected. And that's how you would do it. And, that's cool. Get inventive, because 2 real realities are going to come to you immediately. One, you're in a home, which means you only have 200 amps in the house, period. If you have a modern day house, could be less. 2, you're in a home. So you have limitations on capacity where you could put it. And of course, air circulation, HVAC. Do you have to have a separate HVAC unit, or can you use your air conditioning and heating to maintain a monocle temperature? So with that being said, consider the idea, and then, hey, rock and roll. Try it. Have some fun. Your data center can be as small as a 4 or a 6U, or it can be as big as something like I have, where I have 3 racks, and my data center consists of 2 different floors in my home. But, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I have a little bit more evolution going on, and it took me a few years to get all my gear the way I'd like it. But consider this idea, and I'll make a few more videos in regards to the data center mindset, and to give you some, possible ways to think outside the box. Because all the videos and everything I make for you guys, for you to enjoy, is to tell you how you can take old stuff that really isn't old at all. We just, in the industry, try to make it that way so we can buy new gear. But the reality of the fact is, these servers, these switches, these storage arrays, these racks, these enclosures, the shelvings, the cabling, and so on, they're just as functional as ever. And they can do quite a bit. And that's the secret sauce that the industry doesn't want you to know, because if you knew that, it's better to go to eBay and buy all your gear than to go out and buy new gear. And that, well, could mess around with the industry standards. But hey, you're learning. Embrace it, enjoy it, reach out, have some fun doing it, learn, and then go back to your day job and do your stuff. This is Brad Dyke. God bless. I hope you guys have an excellent time doing this, and look for more data center related videos coming out. Thanks. Bye.